Took a walk one street over from my home. Cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. So they get to second guessing. I won't forget the lessons that I...
If you're watching this and wondering, oh, why isn't she turning on the microphones? Well, I'm talking to my friend, Dr. Jimmy Seitz is in the house. And I am so excited you're here.
I am too.
This is just so much fun. And we're just kind of catching up and reminiscing here for a few minutes before we turn everything on. Because, I mean, man, we go way back.
We do.
We go so far back.
I mean, almost to the Stone Age. It's just amazing.
You're
We've known each other a long time.
I know. When did you come to Madison?
98.
98.
June of 98. Yep.
Okay, see, my twins were born in 91.
Yeah.
So,
I know. They were
yeah,
already about 7 foot tall when I met them when
Well,
they were
I had-
6.
I have one that was born in 96. I had a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
I had
remember.
I had 4 boys, 4.5 and under, because
Yeah.
the twins were 3.5 when Jedediah was born, 4.5 when Elijah was born. He officiated the wedding for my son Jedediah and
I sure did.
Christina.
Yep.
It was just beautiful. It was wonderful.
It was. Outdoor wedding.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Spiritual outdoor adventures, guys. That's what this is. I mean, this is that guy.
Oh,
And I'm so proud to know you, and so excited to know you. You're the guy who says, my husband says, of all the preachers I've ever met, I can most connect with you.
oh, that's nice.
He's always said that, and it's because
appreciate
you talk to them. You talk to the men where they are,
Yeah.
and to women who are outdoorsmen like myself as well.
Uh-huh.
You know, and but you have a unique ability to connect in ways that so many others can't.
I appreciate that.
You know, and I get a call last week, or I get a text, because I don't think you even really realized what all was going on. My husband and I both are teaching. We retired into teaching. We're having so much fun. So I get a text, and I'm at school, and I couldn't answer it, of course. And it's like, Jimmy, give me a call. And I was like, oh, I wonder what he's up to, because I know it's always going to be something
Always gonna be
interesting.
something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. And so he goes, I need you to do something real quick for me.
Yep.
I need you to record the intro and the outro for my audiobook, because I knew this Decoys of Deception was out there. You asked me actually to read it, and I was in the middle of my teaching license and
Right.
just could not do it. And I'm great with Audible books right now. Sitting down and reading a book's real difficult for me because I'm just running all the time. So I was like, oh, the book's coming out, Audible. I can't wait. And so you've been listening, or you're listening to Decoys of Deception, read by the author, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
They call it an intro and an outro.
intro and outro,
Yeah.
just a few lines. And I said, I absolutely want to do this, but I've had laryngitis all week. I mean,
I can't imagine you having laryngitis.
go listen to the show last Monday.
That's probably the first time Mark had a week of you not talking in what?
This typically, when I was doing traffic every day,
Yeah.
once a year, I would completely lose my voice for about 2 days. And I'm kind of getting into that rhythm again, I think, because it's overused, because I'm with the kids and I'm talking and all the time. And a lot of it, I think, is allergy driven and those kinds of things, but it happens. And I mean, I had virtually no voice Monday, and I should have probably called in Lee Marie to fill in. She's the one who works with me here, and she fills in for me, and wonderful lady. But it was Senator Kerry Roberts.
Oh,
And I haven't had him on in 6 months. And I was like, I gotta talk to, and he's a good friend. And I knew all I'd have to do is just, scratch through a question and just let him go, because he would talk.
oh yeah.
So I knew I could get through it. So Monday's show was, it was just really bad. Tuesday it was coming back, but it was just so sketchy.
Yeah.
And I tried, a little bit on Friday, and I was like, if we can wait till Monday. So first thing, we'll get it done.
Yep.
And the audiobook is going to be, so when will we be able to hear the audiobook?
Okay, everything comes out Father's Day.
Okay, awesome.
And yeah, so on Father's Day, or really it's a couple of days before Father's Day. I think
Okay.
June the 10th.
Okay.
So maybe that is Father's Day, but it's the book, the hard copy is coming out. The study guide that goes along with it is coming out. The Audible and the Kindle.
Awesome.
Now, pre-sales, you can, it started. The pre-sales are there. You can go ahead and order it. And then you get the very first shipment, and they ship it to your door or whoever you want to get it for. So if you want to get it for Father's Day, then you have it sent to them. Of course, if it's a Kindle or an Audible, then it'll go
Oh,
to
yeah.
their
Digital.
yeah,
Yeah.
their email or whatever. So
And that's a great, I mean, what a great gift idea. And it's just such a timely thing because this is such a hot topic right
it is.
now.
My goodness, I didn't realize how much it was going to generate from the other side.
Oh, I didn't have any doubt. When you sent me the, I mean,
Wow.
he's getting so many attacks because there's such a darkness out there.
Yeah, there is.
And and they see they're losing.
Yeah.
And so they're doubling down. For so long, we just were kind of keeping to ourselves and we kind of stayed silent. And then when it's like, I don't know, you know Ray Vanderlaan.
Yeah.
Oh, love
Amazing.
that man. Studies.
Oh, his stuff on Israel is so good.
Oh, so good. But he had something that I never realized until him was talking about, and the gates of hell will not prevail
Oh, yeah.
against it. That's
Caesarea
about,
Philippi.
yeah, man.
Yep.
And it's talking about, we always kind of thought about, the gates of hell are not going to hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're supposed to be storming the gates of hell.
That's right.
We are not supposed to be sitting back going, in our private schools, my kids went to private school, in our little communities where we're isolating ourselves
Yeah.
from the community,
Our
we're
bubble.
supposed to be out there,
Yep.
engaging and in love, storming the very gates of hell.
Spiritual warfare 101.
better
I
believe
mean,
it.
it's right on it.
And now that we've realized that, they're doubling down,
Yeah.
and they're coming back harder than ever.
Yep.
And if you don't, I just my first exposure to what spiritual warfare was about was when I read Frank Peretti.
Oh, yeah. Piercing the
mean,
darkness, this
yeah.
present darkness.
Yeah, and
Phenomenal. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, because I've always kind of sensed it,
Yeah.
and I could talk a lot about my journey and my story, and I was always like, oh yeah, and
And you do have a great book called Jesse, by the way.
well, thank you very much.
yeah.
You're so sweet, and I just that is part of that. Is that whole journey of my early days
Yeah.
was understanding that
Yep.
and that spiritual warfare. So when you came out with this, and this is also too, I talk, and I don't know, my kids are all just amazing kids, but I've got one that's wandered away,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not a person of faith right now, and
Right.
neither is his fiance, and they both were raised in it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know in their core, in their heart of hearts, they know the truth.
Yep.
But there's a lot that they talk about with, I think one of the biggest issues for some folks like my son, like Elijah, and he knows I talk about him, I'm sorry.
He's a great kid, though. I love
He's
Elijah.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing young man. I'm so proud of him and his beautiful, beautiful fiance. I'm just so thankful that
Mhm.
they have a life together. But one of their biggest issues is they don't understand. She works in medical
Mhm.
and sees just tragic things,
Yep.
because she works with little kids, and she just has, it just breaks her heart. So she has a hard time seeing how God can allow
How
that.
can a good God allow bad things to happen to
Yeah.
innocent people?
They have a lot of friends
Mm-hmm.
who don't necessarily live the same life we live.
Yep.
And they're like, well, how can it be wrong? How can these good people, and then they're like, how can God send anybody to hell, and all these kinds of
Mhm.
so many questions,
Yep.
so many questions.
All of which I address in this
And
book.
see, that's just to me. I don't know what to say to them.
Page 237. Do you see that chart?
I'm going to leave that one right
Yeah.
there.
Look at that
But-
chart. What does that chart say? And by the
Natural
way,
order of
while she's
things.
looking at this, you haven't even heard the title of the book yet. It's called Decoys of Deception. And you may, listening, you may know me as the Spiritual Outdoor Adventures guy. That's that outdoor preacher dude that has the outdoor TV show. And I have for 22 years. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is not about decoys that you're going to take out and try to kill a turkey with. This book is about the decoys of deception, which are the decoys of the great deceiver, as he is
Mm-hmm.
attempting to use his 3D plan to distract, desensitize, and divide you, and ultimately destroy you. That's what this book is all about. It's a 336 pager, and it's been my lifelong work. And I went ahead and terminally educated with a doctorate, so I know Hebrew and Greek, and I did a deep dive study in both of those languages as well as the extra biblical literature in order to write this book. So I've been working on this since my 20s, LaVern, and I'm
Wow.
63.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time coming. I've been speaking about it for almost 30 years now. I have a
Right.
lesson called Decoys of Deception. And it was 27 years. I looked it up the other night, the first time I delivered it. So I did it Saturday night in Murfreesboro.
Wow.
And so people kept asking, do you have this in any kind of written form? Now we do, and it's like times 10 if you've ever heard me speak it. it's times 10 that presentation. So, and there's a study guide that goes with it. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's
No, I mean, this is just, but it's so timely for me because I've been studying so deeply trying to find the answers because you will, if you will find what you're seeking, you will.
Yep.
And that so many hearts like theirs, they've quit seeking God.
Yeah.
Because they don't like what the deceiver's telling them about
That's correct.
God. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
And I love this. It's like the natural order of things. And he was talking about this chart in here. The natural order of things is what we had in the garden.
Yeah. It was perfect. It was utopian.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect. And there was only one rule. Don't eat from the fruit in the middle of the garden.
Right.
That's it.
And then you've got the unnatural order of things,
Yeah.
which is what we're living in right now.
And what happened? Why did that come about? Because they ate the fruit.
Yeah, because we did the one thing that God, said don't do.
Therefore, you have the camouflaged apple on the front cover.
Yeah, I
The
know.
cover is
I
getting,
saw that.
Great accolades across the publishing world. Right now.
Has it? I love it because it is a very good illustration. I love
really
this.
fun.
I love
Yeah.
this. But and then you've got the natural order of things. We return to it when we get in heaven.
Well, when Jesus comes
Yeah.
back, and there are various theories among Christianity about what that's going to look like. Is he going to come back? Is there going to be a rapture? That's why I personally won't ride with a Baptist if they're driving. You got to think about that for a second. What if the rapture happens?
Funny. You're
But
funny.
you may think of the rapture. You may think there's going to be a 1,000-year reign, time of tribulation. You may think you're going to go straight up in the air and meet Jesus in the air and go straight to heaven. Here's the bottom line: it doesn't matter. We shouldn't divide over what we believe about the end times, as long as we understand Jesus is coming back. He's returning, and He's taking us home.
Amen.
We're going to get to be in the new heaven with Him for eternity. And that's what really matters. And so just be ready for it. And that's going to be the natural order of things restored. So garden lost started the unnatural order of things. Sin came into the world, and as a result, death began. As a result, bad things then started happening to good people and good things to bad people. And so it's not God's fault. So anybody who is not seeking God because they don't understand the problem of suffering and evil, they're focusing on the wrong being. The being is Satan. Satan's the one that brought about the temptation in the garden. Now, I'm going to admit, when you read my book, you're going to find out that the word Satan doesn't appear until the 4th book in the Old Testament. Okay?
Yeah.
And even then, it's
Yeah.
only Satan. It's not Ha-Satan.
Yeah.
It is an adversary, and it actually is an angel of God
Yeah.
when he's dealing with Balaam and the donkey that can talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't find the word Ha-Satan, the Satan, as a proper noun for the evil one until you get to the story of Job. And you have it occurring, how many times? It's like 13 times there or something like that, or more. And then you have it again in Zechariah. So you have about 19 occurrences of the word Ha-Satan in the Old Testament, but you do have references to him.
Right.
The evil spirit that comes on Saul, the dark spirit. There are many different references to where he's not named Ha-Satan. But the bottom line of what we have here is that Satan was in the garden by implication. He used the serpent in the garden. He wasn't the serpent. People believe that and have taught that, but it's just not true. He used the serpent and planted a question. And that question was very simple, and it seemed innocent, and it was the first religious question ever asked. The serpent goes to Eve and goes, did God really say you're not supposed to eat from that fruit? All he did was get Eve thinking about the fruit. And then from there, she became used to the fruit. She became desensitized to it. And maybe months later, she's looking at it one day thinking, I can just take a bite. That's
What
not
is
eating
that?
it, And she does, and boom, sin comes to the world. Garden is lost. Natural order of things becomes the unnatural order of things. You think, well, why did God allow that to happen? Why did he invent man if he knew that was going to happen? Because man is made in the image of God, and God, that's his greatest of all creation, but he can't make them a robot. You can't have love from robots. All these AI and all this stuff, they don't really love. It all has to do with free will, and that's where love comes from. Now, if you do present that, then you're opening up the can of worms that hate can happen. And there can be those that have the inclination that go the wrong way. And so that is what happened. Who caused that? Who picked up on that? Satan did. And I tell all about his origin, why was he sent to earth in the first place, etc. It's all in the book, and it's a fascinating read. And you may not agree with it when you read it, but at least, I don't write a book so that I can make you believe the way I believe. I want to be heard, and so I want to have my say, but I don't necessarily have to have my way.
Who said that?
I don't know. Who did?
That was the guy from Madison that preached there for years. and
Oh,
years.
Ira North.
Ira North. Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I'll be.
That's
Maybe
yeah.
I got it from him
Well,
then.
as
'Cause
soon
I listened
as
to
you
him
said
as a
that-
kid.
Yeah, because that's something that he that I've heard because I've been at Madison
Really?
since '89.
Wow.
Everybody gets their say, but not everybody gets their
That's
way.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an Ira
I just-
North.
I
That's
just
an
want
Ira
people to
North
study
saying.
this.
Yes, exactly. That just as soon as you said that,
I'll
because
be.
because I never studied anything from Ira North.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about him.
He
until
also
I-
said, if you can't do it in an hour, it ain't worth doing. And I had to fight that one tooth and toenail.
Yeah, about the timing on. Yeah, I'm one
Timing
of
on
these.
worship.
if you're teaching me and you're teaching me good stuff, I'll sit there for 3 hours. I'll sit there all day.
Yeah.
If it's good stuff, I'll stay all day with you. And yeah,
Well, you know, back then they had 8,000
I
members. He had to
know.
have 5 services, get them in, get them
I
out. By the
know.
time I got there, way after him, we
Yeah.
were down to 1,400 members, and so
yeah.
we had to do something, and we did. We started worshiping a lot longer. We spent a whole lot more time in the Word, and we grew to 3,200
Yeah,
over
we
3
did.
years.
Yeah.
So it was pretty
We had a
neat.
great time.
Yeah, we sure
had a
did.
great time. And as soon as you said that, though, because I'm still at Madison,
Yeah.
I hear that all the time.
Oh yeah.
And
that's funny.
and-
How
and
about
that's-
that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to credit him then because as a kid I watched Amazing Grace Bible class. I
Yeah.
probably picked it up.
That's probably where you
But
got
it's
it
the
from.
bottom
But
line.
anyway, yeah.
People are like, man, you're trying to shove your beliefs down my throat. No, I'm not. Not at all. I just want my beliefs to go into your ears so you can think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be, if you're a really smart person, you're going to study and you're going to listen to a lot of different people. You're going to look at a lot of different things. Oh, the Bible's all I need. Yeah, that's exactly right. The Bible is all you need. Have you read it? Have you read every word of it? And if you do, have you then began to listen to the interpretations of various individuals so that you can understand that, man, this is not so cut and dried. There are places here where I need to try to figure this thing out. And I'm going to listen to this guy and this lady and this person and read this book so I can spur my own thinking and I can come up with my own thoughts. That's the key. Because what happens is we're born with a projected faith. And by that, I mean our parents or those that are closest to us project their belief system onto us. If we're born to 4th generation Satanists, what's the odds that we're going to be a Satanist?
Yeah.
Yeah, or an Islamic or whatever. And so if we're born into a Southern Baptist church or a family or a Church of Christ family or whatever that's 5th generation, that's probably what we're going to be. So we're going to have that projected faith system upon us. The problem is a lot of people never take the time to integrate that faith system. So they live at a shallow level because it's a shallow faith at first. And if you really want to own it and you really want to take control of, the direction that you're going with your beliefs, then you have to question it. You question everything that you've been told. But if you don't question it by holding everything up to the light of Scripture, that's where you can go off the wrong path. And that may be what happened to the 2 people that you love so much that you talked about. And it may be that they did question, which is fine. But in so doing, they were not using the correct light. It's like a jeweler will take a gem and hold it up to the light to test its authenticity, whether it's accurate or not. If it's not, he discards it. If it is, he builds a ring out of it. Well, what we have to do is unpack our backpack that we've been given of faith, and lay everything out, and we pick one item up at a time. Okay, I was taught this about music. I was taught this about faith. I was taught this about the inspiration of Scripture, and this about Jesus, and this about God, and this about Satan. And we hold it up to the light. Okay, and that light needs to be the Scriptures. And then we say, oh, you know what? That's not accurate. We discard it. I had to do that related to instrumental music because I was told that instrumental music was wrong in worship and you would go to hell if you listened to it. Okay, and I blatantly do not believe that now. And so many people like me who were raised in a particular denomination that taught that have learned that the Bible actually does not teach that. That was based on a very weak hermeneutic called the silence of the Scriptures. Well, if that's the case, you can't use buses to go pick people up. You can't have youth group ministers because none of those are mentioned. I mean, you don't even have mentions of a church building.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've grown past that, and I don't want to offend you because I know that you.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you. I
But-
work with a praise and worship band.
Okay.
Tiffany Baptist on Tuesday nights at CR. So yeah, I'm good.
I still love my tribe,
I do
and my
too.
mom's
I
still
do
part
too.
of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying we're going to repack our beliefs, and then we own them, and that's an integrated faith, and we grow into maturity. We continue to do that. That continues to cycle through life, and sometimes crisis causes that. Well, this particular piece of information here is based on the Bible. It's full of the Bible, all right? This Decoys of Deception book is. But it's focusing on that one thing you've been told about Satan. So it's a study of Satan. And that's why the cover literally says, Discovering Satan's Hunting Strategies and How to Elude Him. And it is a deep dive. It's a lot of people are saying that have pre-read it. Man, this is like a doctorate level kind of book or a book you'd read in college, and yet it's fun. You've made it where I can actually read it. So I feel like boring is a sin. So don't make it boring. And so I entertain in order to educate, in order to inspire. And I have my hunting stories in here with Phil Robertson and fishing with Tony Dungy and other things, and then some other stories. And then I take a lot of scriptures and treat them like movie scenes, like a producer. And you got the 7-headed dragon at the cross and all these crazy things that happen.
Right.
So that we can learn the principle of what it is that the word is saying. And then there are the deep dives in the word where we're in the Hebrew and we're in the Greek, but I'm doing it in such a way that, as old Marshall Keeble used to say, when you preach, get the hay down where the calves can eat it too.
Say that again.
When you preach, get the hay down where the calves can eat it too.
Get the hay down. I've never heard that.
Yep.
I love
Marshall
that.
Keeble, the old black preacher from the 1930s and 40s. I love
Nice.
this man. I got to interview his wife when she was 104, I think,
Ooh,
103. Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to check him out.
Oh, Marshall Keeble, man. I'm telling you.
See,
He was
I've
a
heard
dude,
the
man.
name, but
Yeah. He's a great
is
preacher.
he in our tribe? Is he one
Yes.
of our tribe?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but and we're Church of Christ is our foundation, and that's where'd you go to college? At Harding.
Harding
Right?
University,
That's what I thought.
Harding Graduate School, Abilene
Right.
Christian for my doctorate. Yep.
And I'm Freed Hardeman and David Lipscomb, so you know where our foundation is. But what you said about picking up each piece and examining it, and I never realized, but that's what I've been doing for
Yep.
my entire life. Because
Yep.
I mean, when I met you, I was still kind of going. I don't know if you remember, I was working really heavy in the apologist side of stuff because I could not. I growing up like we did in the 60s and 70s, whenever all of the evolution stuff was being pushed hard
Yes.
in the schools, caused me to have this underlying doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That it never really took hold. And I mean, if you read Jesse, you see that
Yeah.
it never really took hold of me, but it was there and I was struggling with it. And John Clayton was the one of the first people
Yeah.
that turned the lights on for me. I
That's
love that
amazing.
man. I would just always love it. But and Lee Strobel, all these people who helped me with that. And so for a long time, that was the thing. And then when I got beyond that, I was like, okay, now how did the church get to this from that? How did I? And I couldn't understand. And I would ask so many elders and church leaders, and I obviously never asked you because we would have had a different conversation. But I said, how did we get the Bible in the form that we're reading it now? How did we get, Genesis to Revelation? How
Yeah.
did that happen? And people would go, well, it's the canon. Well, I didn't know what they meant.
You
They-
should think Civil War. Canon.
the canon. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, what does that even mean? But
Yeah.
that's how people who have they like to talk. That's kind of been my experience, especially with the men I'm a woman, so well, it's the canon. It's okay, sweetheart, and it just
I know.
flies all over me.
Yep.
And so, but in love, I just kept looking, and I'll never forget. I walked into the Family Christian Bookstore there in Rivergate.
Mhm.
And I kept asking these questions. I mean, for 10 years, I'm asking this question, and nobody ever gave me the answer that I needed to hear. And I had this young kid go, "You need to read Dr. Bruce Shelley, Church History in Plain Language." And I was like, "Okay." And I got this. You have my original copy of it. I treasure because it is shredded. I mean,
about
it's
that?
just because it answered all those. It filled in those holes.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing. That was that piece.
Mhm.
And then I'm at this piece and I'm at this piece. And that's how my journey has been.
Yeah.
And it's been so funny. There's a lot of things, the questions about Satan and hell and all that kind of thing never bothered me. I
Mhm.
didn't understand it, but it never bothered me. But now it's bothering my son and his fiance to the
Yeah.
point that they're not with us right now.
Mhm.
So now I've got to delve into questions that didn't bother me because they're bothering somebody else who I
Yes.
cherish. And here's the thing. It shouldn't take my son questioning it. It should be these are the questions that the world is
Mhm.
asking. We have to, as disciples, go, okay, what's holding the world back from accepting Christ and embracing the faith that we know and the truth that death has no victory here anymore. And we step from here to there.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's so many
absolutely.
things, but we
Yes.
have to. And so this question to me is one of the biggest ones
Mhm.
that's preventing the absolute spread of the gospel of God, of Jesus, and of all that is available to us because
Yes.
well, they can't get beyond, well, I don't understand this, and this. And so I'm very excited about this because I know too, this is the man that I go to with real deep questions of Hebrew and Greek. I remember sitting in your office. Oh my goodness, because the women in the church thing is huge for me.
Yeah.
And I'm coming. Oh, I've got some things I need to share with you that I've been deep dive studying with all that.
Good.
And I've got some things and some questions for you too. But did you know who Dr. Kenneth Bailey is?
Yes.
Ooh, he's so good.
Yep.
He's so good. And I've been studying his stuff real deeply.
Okay.
And what do you think of it? Do you like him pretty good?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. He's amazing.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
amazing.
He's well versed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I've been deep dive studying his stuff. But nonetheless, I can remember there was something from some of the stuff that was written to Timothy that I was asking you about, and you were
First
helping
Timothy
me.
2:12, the word authenteo.
Yeah. And so we were, going into these very specific words, and you've helped me so much, but it's fun. I could sit and talk to you all afternoon. I know I came over there and I was like, I just need a few minutes of your time, Jimmy. And I think I was there for 2 hours. And it's like we finally both had to go, it was something like that. So that's who Jimmy is. So tell us, okay, we're already a half hour in, Jimmy, and I knew this wouldn't, and I've got some sponsors I got to talk about.
Yeah, no worries.
Why don't you go through, I think one of you've opened up something right there.
I just want to read just one tiny quote.
Okay.
It's by Charles Baudelaire. It says, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist."
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's the opening of part 2, the big question, who is Satan?
Okay.
And that's what's going on right now.
Right.
All of these Satanists and atheists and even Trump haters who are getting on my social media, they took over my social media this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there's just hundreds and hundreds
crazy.
of posts that we're having to delete, but we're leaving some on there. Some are just extremely vile and rude. And I had a death threat as well yesterday.
It's unbelievable.
And the book hasn't even come out. They haven't even read it.
Mm-hmm.
They just know it's about Satan and his strategy to kill us. And so they're jumping all over this thing and going nuts. And so it's kind of a crazy time right now. Here we are still 5 weeks from the book release, and they're trying to keep it from happening. Well, who's causing that? Mm-hmm. I think it's the great deceiver. He doesn't want this thing to come out. He doesn't want people studying about him because he wants people to believe he doesn't exist. And I'm looking at these people going, you know what? They are the ones who are already deceived because they don't think he exists. Or they think that he's some great Lord that they want to worship. Mm-hmm. The atheists don't even believe in a Satan, and they don't believe in a God either. And so they're calling me all these terrible names and everything. They don't even know me. I literally told a guy online, I said, you don't even know me. You haven't read the book, and you're making all these judgments. You're telling me who I voted for, what I believe in politics. I do address it in here as far as politics, not who I voted for. But, this book has nothing to do with Trump. Nothing. And he's a hot topic right now. It has nothing to do with him. It does have one mention of him when he's at a trade show that I was at with his family. He comes pulling up in a limo, and he gets out. And at that time, he had not even announced he was going to run for president. I'm like, what in the world is the Apprentice guy doing at the NRA convention? So we walk in with him. We're walking in waving at everybody and laughing.
Oh,
and I got a picture with it. It was just funny. And I called my wife and said, guess who's going to run for president? And I said, him. And she goes, no way.
Yeah. Isn't that hysterical?
I just used that as the intro to my chapter on politics. That's it. It's not about him. It's not about any particular party. It's about partyism, how Satan is working in politics to divide our country. What do we as Christians do about that? And so I address politics in the book because Satan is having his way, making a divisive category within our country. The category of politics. He also is doing it with the church. And I'll get to that after your break because you got sponsors you got.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something real quick too. Jedediah, my middle kid, and this is my one that served in the military, went to Afghanistan, all the things. He and I both were on a very deep study. He got on the radio with me Thursday for the National Day of Prayer.
Yeah.
And the thing that's really changed with us, because we both used to be so outspoken politically, and we've just kind of gone silent because we don't feel that that's our call anymore. We're definitely engaged. We do what is what we have been stewarded to do.
Yep.
We are responsible with our votes. We do everything we can to promote the Word of God within the goals of our nation, our world. But we both have kind of seen that we need to this decisive, this back and forth. It's got to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to stop.
Yeah.
And, he's got a brother that is completely polar opposite of us when it comes to our politics.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to, we love each other.
Yeah.
So we just share love, and we just share the things that we can agree on.
Yep.
We don't get into this bickering. We just don't do it anymore. And it's so different for what Jedediah and I were doing, say, 6 years ago. And it's all because of our deep, deep study of Scripture.
That's good.
And it's completely changed our perception. But yes, I need to do a break here.
Okay.
But I thought you would appreciate that. I
do.
I
awesome.
texted. I've been talking about my Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. I texted Julie this morning. I normally, bless her heart, I hated to even bother her this morning. I was like, what are you doing this week? Because normally I text her on Sunday and she'll give me like a few lines about everything that's going on. This morning she's working and she's making biscuits and she's getting everything going and she is busy. They're open right now. If you want to stop by there and grab some breakfast, they're open 7 to 4, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, they have Sunday shopping hours 1 to 4. But I said, okay, what are you doing this week? She goes, we're cutting pork. And so y'all know what that means. They raise all their pork, they raise all their beef, and then they do the processing themselves right there at Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. When you open up their social media page and look at their meat counter, oh my, it's like a work of art. I'm not kidding. It is absolutely beautiful. If you go to the webpage right now, you'll also see, or the Facebook page, Huddleston Farms was there with strawberries over the weekend. They had some strawberry pies. I don't know if that's the plan today to get any more strawberry pies out, but they sell so quick. Julie will put up on Facebook, hey, we've got a few pies, and then they're gone. So if you want something special like that from Bernard Farms, you need to get in there and you need to stay in there and you keep a check on what they've got going on. It's just a cool place. Great place to go in and have a meal. You can sit out on the porch. You can have, of course, the great gift ideas with Mother's Day coming up, guys. Mother's Day Sunday, y'all. If you haven't got anything for your mom, go into Bernard Farms, put you together a fun gift basket, all kinds of fun things in there that you could put together for mom. Get them some, and of course, with Father's Day coming up, keep an eye on that meat counter for some great steaks and some great pork and some unique things. Their stuff's so good, you're going to find it. Public House. They have their sausages that are there that are from Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. It's like Irish bangers, I think they call it. And I had somebody that traveled in Ireland that said public houses are better than the ones I had in Ireland, and it's because of Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. They're located at 7536 Clay Gregory Road in Orlinda. You can give them a call at 615-637-0004. One more time, 615-637-0004. Follow Tanner. He's got his own little YouTube page. This is a young fella, maybe 9, 10 years old, out farming with his daddy, planting corn, doing all the things. He's so much fun to watch. Their 2 little boys are just a hoot, but he's got his own YouTube page now. You're going to want to check that out as well. But they're cutting pork this week. If you want some fresh pork, that's what you're going to find at Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market, 7336 Clay Gregory Road in Orlinda. When you get in touch with them, let them know U-Turn sent you. And getting back to my friend, Dr. Jimmy Seitz, where are we going to go next?
While you're doing that, I just checked the feed that has come onto that particular social media page that people took over this weekend, and they're still rolling. Here's one that just came in, and he, okay, I better not read that.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, never mind.
Uh-oh.
He's calling God of lots of really terrible things and mine, but he starts out by saying, Satan has been a hunting buddy of mine for a long time. He just told me this Jimmy Seitz guy is just another con man pretending to talk for his father. In fact, God and Satan made a bet in 1776 to see how long it would take for America to go into full fascist Christian insanity. Satan lost the bet. He figured we had at least until 2300 before total collapse into authoritarianism. But hey, authoritarianism is what this blankety-blank Yahweh and his loser son Jesus want now, apparently. Okay, so that's just an example.
Wow.
That one is mild enough. I'll leave that one on here.
So people can see what
some of
we're
them
up
are so
against.
bad
Yeah.
that we're having to delete them, and we're having to block the people who are trying to take it. Not only trying, they're taking it over. But you know what? I'm having a conversation with quite a few of them. This is at jimmysites.com. No, I'm sorry. That's my website. This is on, Facebook,
yeah,
Jimmy Sites, the
Facebook
public
page.
figure one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the public figure, not the one that they limited to 5,000. So yeah, it's just Facebook. I think Jimmy Sites or something like that. But whatever. Yeah, you'll find it. I guarantee you, if you look for it and you see the bad stuff, that's the one.
That's it.
And it's got some pretty interesting reading on it right now because I'm under massive attack and even a death threat. But why? Well, they're talking about. I wanted to show you this chart. Okay, we were talking about politics before your break, and here's a chart that I came up with. Actually, there are 2 charts in the chapter on politics that are for Christians. And, at first I'm thinking, you have the major party of the Republicans, the major party of the Democrats, and there are extremists on both ends.
You better believe it.
And extremism, either direction, is an idol. It's wrong. And also it's very divisive. And so then I came up with the centrist, the moderate in the middle. How can we be that? And I was going to go that route. And my early readers, about 26 of them, said, no, no, even that has got problems, because if you're going that route, you can't really take a stand on anything. And so what I came up with at the bottom there, do you see it?
Yeah.
That's
the bridge builder.
That's right. We have to be bridge builders.
Wow.
That's the way we need to see ourselves in politics.
Yeah.
We are bridge builders,
Yeah.
which means that we reach out to anybody and everybody.
Amen.
And we
Yep.
try to seek unity, and we do so in love. Doesn't mean that in so doing that we are just blanket accepting everything they stand for. Okay, and so that's why these people that are so judgmental and hateful and bigoted and all of that toward me in this book, without knowing me or even reading it, they are the ones that are trying to project me into a particular spot and paint me into a corner. And I'm not going to allow myself to be painted into a corner, because I'm not there. Nor am I a judgmental, bigoted hater. And so what we have going on, there's another chapter in there where Satan is using labeling as one of his tools, his strategies for hunting us and killing us and dividing us. And so he's got the younger generation labeling the older generation
Yes.
as bigoted, as hateful, and as judgmental, and Bible thumpers and all of that kind of stuff. And especially if we don't accept that homosexuality is okay. And there are many of us that do not. Now, let me just say this in love, starting out. All of us probably have been touched by this in some way, in that we have a friend or a family member who struggles with homosexuality or lesbianism, okay? But we probably also have a family member or friend who struggles with adultery, and probably another one with pornography, and probably another one with, lying and cheating and everything else. They're all sins, okay? So what we have to understand is that the Bible blatantly and very openly says these things will separate you from God, and homosexuality is one of those things, okay? So if you run the list, and there's an actual list in the book straight from a scripture from the New Testament,
Right.
that lists about 8 things. And if you take out homosexuality from that list, and you say, is it wrong to kill your parents? Yes. Is it wrong to commit to sleep with anybody you want to sleep with anytime you want to, even if you're married? No, you can't do that. Is it wrong to do that? Okay. And so you take that to any young person, and you say to them, out of these 7 things, which are wrong? And they're going to go, all of them. And you say, okay, that's right in the Bible. Do you believe that? Oh, of course I do. Well, then you say, okay, let's open up and read it. And I had intentionally left out homosexuality. It's right there. It's in that list of sins in the Bible. And they don't know what to say. And I said, and you're calling me a bigoted, hateful, judgmental person because I'm speaking out against this sin? I'm also speaking out against adultery, and I'm speaking against lying, and I have lessons on this and this and this and this,
Right.
because the Bible says it.
Right.
And I said, I love people who struggle with homosexuality and adultery and everything else. And my friend who ends up in an adulterous situation, and I go to him knowing I could lose a friendship over it, and I confront him about it and try to help him save his marriage, is that wrong? Of course not.
Of course not. Yeah.
So if I go to my friend who's struggling with homosexuality, and I say, man, let me see if I can help you. Here's what the Bible says about it. What can I do to help you to maintain a relationship with God and live this thing out right without yielding to the temptation that maybe you were even born with in some genetic way? You still have to withhold from that sin. And I know that there are people listening to this who are going to get really mad about this because of the way you feel. I'm just asking you to think about it and look at what the Bible says about it. I am not standing in judgment of that person. I'm not judgmental. Only God is judge.
Amen.
I am not bigoted, because I love all people, and I don't hate homosexuals. I love them, and I work with some,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
in certain situations. And so to me, I think what's happening is Satan is whispering in the ear of our younger generation, even some Christians, to say, these are old fogies. They're old school. They don't know what they're doing. And here's a more progressive way to think. Therefore, we have the rebirth of the earliest Christian heresy. It's called, you ready for this? Progressive Christianity.
Uh-oh.
Did you know that's a thing?
I did not.
Okay, a lot of people don't.
Right.
But there's another chapter
I've
on
heard
this.
it, but it's
oh
like,
my goodness.
but only in the context of current day,
Yes.
and I've been accused of being a progressive Christian because of my
That's
views
different.
on women in the church.
That's different.
But you know what I'm saying?
This is an
I get
actual
it.
movement that is gaining huge
Right.
growth right now. It was started by a few people. Rob Bell was one with the church up in what was it, Michigan, I think it was, when he began to say basically that they're you can accept homosexuals to lead churches, etc. Also that you can there is no hell. I mean there is, but really what it is, it's just you're conscious while you're on earth. When you do something wrong, you feel guilty about it. But God is so good that He's going to love everyone. And basically, they do away with atonement. There's no need for Jesus on the cross. And yeah, I mean, do I need to say any more?
Yeah, and
That's a
I'll be honest
movement.
with you. I was about to ask you about Rob Bell because there's been some things I've studied of his early on that I was like, wow, I really like this guy. And then I started hearing some of this, and I'm like, what?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I
so,
mean, he literally divided his church
yeah.
over his views on hell, and then they fired him, and he goes to Hollywood and starts a talk show. He was on Oprah.
Yeah.
And
I heard him
he
on
and his
Oprah,
wife.
and that's
okay,
really,
so you know all about
yeah.
that.
And I was like, you don't get to speak for the church.
He's
He
the
was-
only one that I
yeah.
actually mentioned in this book because
Yeah.
he's so open about his beliefs,
Yeah.
and it started a movement that now has given rebirth to an old heresy. Now, here's the crazy thing about progressive Christianity. Okay, they claim to be progressives. In other words, we've progressed further than the normal Christians because they're stuck in the old antiquated Bible. All right, and if you keep going to something that is out of date and it doesn't really apply to our culture anymore, then you're just kind of stupid, and we're smarter than you. All right, that is a ploy of Satan, and that is the verse in Corinthians that talks about that Satan is an angel of light and his servants dress as servants of righteousness. But he's faking it as an angel of light, but definitely he's not, and nor are his servants. So he's sneaking in as wolves in sheep's clothing into the church, and he's using the progressive Christians. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. I'm going to call them out. They are. They are detrimental to Christianity. They're causing extreme harm, and they're just flippantly pooing on the Bible. I'm just going to say it that way. All right. And what it is nothing progressive. It is nothing new. It is a rebirth, a regurgitation of the first Christian heresy of the first century. It was called Gnosticism.
Yeah.
And John himself dealt with it in 2nd and 3rd John, those two shortest little letters in the Bible. He is taking on Gnosticism full on, and he is saying, you cut them out. You do not love them. You do not accept them into your home to worship. You do not try to win them over. You cut them out like cancer and have nothing to do with them. That's what John says. All right?
Wow.
Is that loving? Heck yeah, it's loving. You know why? Because love has always got to stay, as Charles Swindoll said, within its bank. It's a river. The river of love has got to stay within its banks. There's a whole chapter on that in there as well. There's 2 chapters in this book about that. And I use Swindoll's analogy of the river of love with the bank of truth and discernment. And as long as the water stays in its banks, it's fine. It's a beautiful river. It's crystal clear. You can sleep by it, and it sounds great. And you can drink the waters, and you can catch fish out of it. But what happens when it gets out of its banks and it becomes a swollen torrent? It does the most devastation of any power on earth other than God himself. I mean, it is catastrophic. It kills. I mean, look at what happened in the Appalachians with the hurricane and the flood.
Incredible.
And so what happens is if you don't keep love in its banks according to truth and discernment, and you just say, oh, you just got to love everybody, whatever, any way you want to go, you can get to God. God is love, and he would never send anybody to hell. He said, love, 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 love. That is catastrophic. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't stay with truth and discernment, you can love someone straight into hell. That's why I have to tell the truth. I have to speak out on these sins listed in the Bible. I have to take a stand against homosexuality. Why? Because I am teaching truth and discernment out of love. That doesn't mean I don't love somebody. It means that I love them so much, I don't want them to go to hell. I love them so much, I want to tell the truth to them. You're saying, well, you think you're goody two shoes. No, I don't. I sin. Are you kidding me? And I've had people come to me and have their little meetings with me about what I'm doing, okay? I have in my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm admitting that right here on live radio. But the bottom line is we've got to help each other, love each other, and we've got to hold each other accountable to the truth, which is loving. That's loving.
Yeah.
That's not hateful and bigoted and judgmental.
Right.
All right?
All right.
That's being biblical. That's
I'm
all in
telling
the
you,
book.
Wow, this is oh man, Jimmy, you have no idea how many chords you're hitting with me, and it's just, I mean, seriously, because the question of I have a prayer list of people that I pray over that are dealing with homosexual relationships, and they're so good.
Oh yeah.
They're just such
Absolutely.
good people,
They're
and I love them
sweet,
so
wonderful
much.
people do anything
And I
for you.
don't know what to do for them. And that's kind of like what I was telling you about me and Jedediah, kind of getting off of we just have gotten to where we just love them.
Yeah.
We just love them.
That's right.
And I don't mean just love them, but we love them big.
Yeah.
And some people will be like, well, that means you're being accepting. No,
Not
I'm
at
doing
all.
what God's called
Would
me
you
to
let them
do.
preach at your church?
No.
Okay. Then you're not accepting.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing, it's like, but here's the thing, I would certainly invite them to come in and be there,
Sure.
and
Absolutely.
be there,
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
you know?
I hope Satan worshipers come in our church.
Yeah.
I want them there. They
Yeah.
need to hear the truth.
But,
I'm not going to turn the preschool program over to them.
exactly. And so, and that's the thing. And we've had situations in Madison where somebody that was, and it was not a homosexual situation or anything, but it was another thing that they were doing that was in the list, and wanted to be a part of something. And I'm trying to be real non-specific because I don't want to, bring it up, but it was some things they were wanting to do, and somebody said, "Well, you really can't because of this situation in your life," and they're like, and I think they realized that it was something. Did your GoPro die there? I think Jimmy, well, I tell you what, I'm going to let you fix that and we'll come back. He's got a little secondary camera in here. While you're fixing that, let me go ahead and talk about my next sponsor and we'll kind of come back there because I appreciate so much what you're saying about how we deal with these situations, how we, I've got just so many dear friends who I love and I cherish, and I don't know, I just love them. I just love them. That's all I'm called. I am called to love them. They're not asking me to approve of their situation. I'm just sharing the love of Jesus with them at every opportunity I can, and love and respect for them.
You're not loving them into hell by just completely ignoring their sin and their lifestyle and blanketly accepting it and promoting it, though.
Yeah.
So you're loving them enough that you have a relationship with them. And when the opportunity arises and they ask, you're ready with an answer. Or if the opportunity arises for you to bring up the situation in a loving way where they'll hear, and you can talk with them about what the Bible teaches and hopefully help them out of their sin.
Yeah. I had somebody that you and I both know one time. We were working on Meals on Wheels together because I worked at the church for about 7 years on staff. And we were doing Meals on Wheels together, and I just love this person to pieces. And they were telling me that they had just a dear, dear friend that had grown up at Madison who was getting married to same-sex partner, and they wanted to, I don't know what to do, they said. And that apparently they're close enough that they were having conversations. I said, I think what I would say to somebody is I understand if you do not have love for somebody of the opposite sex, this is somebody you love. I look at how much David loved Jonathan.
Yeah.
They talk about that deep love they had for each other, but as brothers. And I said, if you're in a situation and you want to build a life with somebody, the sexual side of it has to not be there.
Correct.
That's the way I discern Scripture. That doesn't mean that, people talk about, and this is something that kind of gets into the political side of it. Okay, well, there's benefits if I'm married. And then I get into, well, can we not have where we're partnering together, have a household together? And I forget what they even call that, but without having the unity of marriage over it. And it's a very complicated thing because I see, two women that want to live together and they want to have the benefits that a husband and wife would have from a tax perspective, from being able to make decisions for them. And you can set up to where they are your, what is the words where they can make decisions for you in the
power of attorney
power of attorney. Yeah. Yes, they can be your power of attorney or those kinds of things. So I look at those and I see the legitimacy of it. It's like if I'm working and my spouse is not, and I have access to healthcare benefits for my family, and only through the title of a spouse do they have it, I get it
Yeah.
from that perspective,
Right.
but I don't agree with marriage is between a man and a woman.
Correct.
Period.
Yeah, that's what
And
the Bible
fact
teaches.
the fact that we ever let the government get involved in that, and you look at the history of that, and that has to is it in here? I don't want us to miss
There's
reading
your copy right there.
Okay.
I need to show you something.
this right here. I want us to read these right here at some point. The steps about the politics. Maybe we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So mark that. I want to come back to that. But
Yeah.
what were you going to say? I tell you what.
Well-
You find I need to do a break. I got to do a
Yeah,
break.
go ahead, do a break.
Oh, I wish we had more time. I got to get to school. All this stuff. My goodness, Jimmy. I knew this was going to be one of these kind of conversations. I love you so much. I wish we were closer together where we could hang out more.
I know,
Because
I
we
know.
could get into some deep conversations. But we do need to pause and talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. You know them so well. They are our longest running full-time sponsor. We love them so much. They have really poured into this program, and we cannot thank them enough. If you want some help in real estate, man, they are just the perfect folks to talk to. She is one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. So if you've got those retirement kind of questions, she can specifically answer those. Barry was a marketer for 17 years up in Nashville, vice president of a media marketing company. So the drone footage, the walkthrough tours, the video and photography, he is an expert at it, and you can see the difference when you see their listings. So if you want to sell some property, he's the guy to make sure that it visually is done for you. They have got diverse backgrounds. They came out of other careers. So if you're somebody that wants to be mentored into the real estate community, they'd love to help you. Rebecca said when she went into real estate, she found a company that crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, filled in all the blanks for her, and that was Exit, and they've been with them ever since. They're Exit Prime Realty. They specialize in Robertson County properties because they're in Cross Plainians, and they've been in Robertson County about as long as me, about 30 years. They'll be at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. They're founding board members and sponsors of that festival. You'll be able to sit down and talk to them there on May 16th and 17th. Can't wait to see you there. But they also specialize, or they also sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky because they understand what it means to live in Kentucky and work in Tennessee. They're Kentuckians originally like myself. They're the whole package. You're going to love working with them. Contact Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty. The number to call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or by BUI, robertsoncounty.com, and let them know you turned Century. And so much to talk about this, the issue of we all have people in our life that are dealing with same-sex attraction, and they want the benefits of what we call marriage, but this concept of the government ever getting involved in it just makes me sick. But we were going to go somewhere specifically with that.
Here's the thing. I don't want the listener to think that this book is just about homosexuality. It's not. This book is about Satan.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger thing. And Satan is having his way. And if you look at the table of contents, LaVern, on your book right there, this thing is laid out in about 9 sections. And it starts out with Satan being the great deceiver, and he is. And I just start out with some hunting analogies when I'm out with Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty. And then after that, I developed the concept or the idea, the definition of hunting. Hunting is deceiving an animal into thinking that it's safe so that you can kill it and grill it and eat it and wear it and skin it and mount it. Okay? And that's what Satan is doing. Satan doesn't love anybody, even Satanists. He hates them. He hates everyone. And he's an adversary. That's what the word Satan means. It's adversary.
Right.
And so Satan in the Hebrew. And so he wants to kill and destroy. How is he doing that? Well, we look at in the second part, who is Satan? And I actually do a deep dive on the names of Satan in history. And there are many different names. Where did he come from? What was the origin of Satan? And I deal with all of that. I look at Satan in the Old Testament and Satan in the New Testament and the uses of his name and when he appears. Section 3 is the great deceiver. And now we're talking about how he deceives, and we start looking at sin. What is sin? Is it a tool of Satan? Well, of course it is. It is an outcome, yes. But what is it? What does the word mean? We look at the definition of the word and how sin is having its way within our country. Then we start looking at his tactics. So as you move into sections 4, 5, and 6, it's his strategy tactics, his hunting tactics, just like I have my hunting tactics. All right? I didn't get to be North American Outdoor Sportsman of the Year by being a bad hunter. Okay?
Right.
And so I know how to hunt. I'm still learning too, though. And so he does the same thing. He is always scouting. He's going to scout you and know what you like and what your weaknesses are, and you're never going to know he's around. He's not showing up in a red suit. He's wearing a camo, okay? And you're not going to smell him, hear him, or see him. That's how he hunts. just like I do. And so what he's going to do is he's going to make moves of the hunt. He's going to plant a food plot. Did you know the first sin had to do with food, and it was in a food plot?
Ooh.
Garden of Eden.
Ooh, I never.
Uh-huh,
Oh, that's
uh-huh.
good, Jimmy. I was like,
And so he's going to try to distract you.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of people in the world right now who Satan has duped them. Man, are you going to go to heaven? Oh, of course I'm going to go to heaven. You going to church somewhere? Well, no, I don't need church. Me and God are good. The earth is my church, or whatever. And they're good people, and they do good
Yeah.
things. But the problem is they could do better, and they're missing best. And so Satan will distract us, even Christians who do go to church. Well, I go to church and I check mark it and I take communion and I do this and I'm a good person and I don't do this and I don't kill people and I haven't really hurt anybody and I've never been convicted of a crime, that kind of thing. I'm a good person. I'm good enough. God's going to take me. Good. Satan will focus us on good. He'll distract us with good, and in so doing, we miss the better and the best.
Mm-hmm.
We miss the very purpose and the mission of our life because we're stuck on good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strategy of Satan, and that's where a lot of Christians are right now. A lot, okay? And then he also is going to try to desensitize us. And if you think we're not being desensitized,
Oh yeah.
here's an example. When Gone with the Wind came out, that movie back in the 1930s, half the theaters in the world wouldn't play it because of the D word. It was used twice. Okay? And now you can go to the theaters and you're going to hear the D word in G-rated movies just about.
Oh, it's
For sure,
vile.
PG. You're
Yeah.
going to hear God's name in front of D words in
Mhm.
movies, but you're going to hear 100 F words even on Netflix series, etc. And nobody says a thing about it anymore. Have we become desensitized morally as a country?
Oh yes.
Okay, let me explain something. Right now in the church among Christians, listen to this. Right now, Christians are worse off morally in the church than the world was 20 years ago. Because what we're doing is we're buying the greatest lie of Satan, and that is that, you just need to always be a little better than the world.
Mm.
Well, if we measure ourselves against the world and we stay just a little better than the world, then we're going downhill because the world's going downhill.
Mhm.
So as long as we measure ourselves, well, it's, as long as I stay a little better than the world, I'm downhill. I'm going downhill morally. We need to be so different from the world that we're sticking out like a sore thumb.
Oh yeah.
Okay? That's that storming the gates of hell thing that you were talking about earlier, that Jesus mentions to his disciples at Caesarea Philippi. All right? So he's distracting us. He's desensitizing us. That's what all these sections are about. And then he's dividing us. And in this particular section, this is the longest section. We've already talked about politics and partyism. And we've talked about the progressive Christianity. That's the wolves in sheep's clothing. But we haven't talked about secular humanism. There's a whole chapter in here about that. That is the worst thing happening in our country right now, is secular humanism. All right? That's basically, if you follow secular humanism, it will lead you all the way to the trains that were delivering Jews to the Nazi concentration camps. They did it because of secular humanism. All right. We talk about the 51st state in America. Do you know what that state is? We now have the 51st state in America. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
State of chaos.
Oh.
We're in a
Okay.
state of chaos right now in our
Right.
country.
Right.
That's all Satan. And it's the followers of us giving into and following what it is that he's doing to us. We talk about reversing the rhythm. God has a rhythm. God set this world in rhythm. God laid out his law in rhythm, okay? And as long as we don't reverse that rhythm, we're good. When the Jews reversed the rhythm, when the Israelites reversed the rhythm in the Old Testament and they didn't follow Sabbath, then what did God do? If you won't give the land the Sabbath I tell you to give it, then I'll do it myself. So he put them in captivity for 70 years. If you go back and study it and look, it was 490 years they didn't keep the Sabbath year that they're supposed to keep every 7 years. So that comes out to 70. Why do you think he put them into Babylonian captivity for 70 years? So the land would get its rest. God's going to have his way. We have reversed his rhythm. And we have works in front of grace. And for all you folks out there that think that you have to be so good that God will actually save you, you've got it completely wrong. You can't be good enough. You're going to hell if it's coming down to that. Okay? There's no way on earth you're going to heaven if your salvation is based on your good works. You can't do enough good works to earn the grace of God. That's reversing his rhythm. His rhythm is, hey, I'll accept you as you are. I love you so much, I'll accept you as you are if you'll just yield your life to me and surrender to me. All right? In obedience. And you do. And as a result of that, then his grace is sufficient for everything that you've done wrong and everything that you do wrong, all right? Unless you just blatantly turn your back on him and go away. And so it's grace equals good works. You do your good works because you're saved and you're motivated and you want to do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it because you've got to. It's a get to, not a got to. It's a love thing, not a law thing. All right. But Satan will tell you just the opposite. He'll come along and say, "Oh, no, you need to." And I'll talk with Christians that have been Christians 50 years, and they're like, "Man, if I die tonight, I sure hope that I'd be good." Now you don't have to go there. I mean, look, if you're a Christian, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good, unless you literally, blatantly spit in God's face and turn away. Now, I want to be really careful here. I don't want to just.
I understand.
All right.
Yeah.
So read the book and you'll have a much better detail. I'm giving a Cliff Notes version of it, but those are all the things in the divisive section, the dividing section. Then we get into the 3D plan of Satan, which is, I've already talked about. And then the last couple of sections, we're getting into the Apostle John and into Scripture where we're talking about incarnation, resurrection, and ascension. Now, why did I end the book with this? I was supposed to be done with the book at page 225. The book turned out to be 336 pages. I couldn't quit. I didn't want to stop on a dark note. Here's everything that Satan's doing.
Gotcha.
I wanted light to outshine the darkness. And so I got into how did God out-deceive the great deceiver? Because he did.
Yeah.
And so the whole last third of the book is about God out-deceiving the great deceiver in the chess game of the ages. And it has to do with incarnation, God coming to earth as a baby, keeping Satan from finding out exactly who he was so he wouldn't kill him. He had to go hide in Egypt for 4 years from 2 to 6 years old so Satan wouldn't kill him because he was using Herod as his puppet king and he's killing all the babies in Bethlehem, dozens of boys. And then he goes to Nazareth and just stays quiet till he's 30. Why? He didn't want the Satan on his radar. He had a plan. And so I tell this whole story from incarnation all the way to return after the resurrection, okay? Even the post-resurrection appearances have very important roles to play in this whole thing. And I paint it like a movie scene all the way through. It's very entertaining. It's very scriptural. And it has some really deep application for us. And that's the third section because I want to end the book with wonderful hope, beautiful light, overcoming darkness. God is stronger than Satan, and you don't have to fear the evil one, but you sure better respect him. Does that make sense?
Stuff, Jimmy. Oh, so my
that's
goodness.
Decoys of Deception.
Yeah.
Can I tell them where to get it?
Yeah, we're a little over time but I want you, and I know Ilyu's going, you just go, girl. I know he won't care. But let's just read, because you got a study guide coming out.
Yep.
We've got the audio book. Everything's coming out.
Kindle.
Tell them how to find it, and
All
then
right.
we're going to have to say goodbye.
This is so easy. Just go to Amazon.com and type in Decoys of Deception book. That's it. Amazon.com, Decoys of Deception book, and you'll find it. You can order the hard copy. You can order a Kindle version. The Audible book will be on there very soon. We're turning it in today. And then if you want to get the study guide, it will be on there eventually, but you can get the study guide also. Any of these things, actually, you can also get on my website at some point, and it's called jimmysites.com. So Jimmy and then Sites is S-I-T-E-S. I have 2 biological children, and so they're parasites. Parasites, get it?
You're so
S-I-T-E-S. Now you never forget that.
Funny.
So jimmysites.com. And the study guide will be available. All of this comes out on Father's Day, but you can pre-order it right now and have it shipped straight to your dad, to his house, or you can have it come in and take it to him. And here's one more thing I want to say. Any person listening that is a part of a church, if you are within drive range of Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, for the next 2 months, I am willing to come to your church. I will preach on Sunday. I'll teach a class. I'll come to your men's group. I'll come to your ladies group. I'll do a Kiwanis Club. I don't care what it is. I will come and promote my book and talk about the Lord with you, just like I have with U-Turn here today, or I'll preach a lesson, whatever you want me to do, all right? And so for 2 months, we're doing this window where you don't have to go through a speaker's bureau to book me and all of that stuff. I'll just come. If you'll let me talk about the book, I'll show up. You just need to call our office at 615-338-0234, and my assistant will get you on the calendar.
Do the number one more time.
All right, 615-338-0234.
Outstanding, brother, Dr. Jimmy Sites, my brother in
Thanks
Jesus.
for giving me in here.
Absolutely. I'm just thrilled. It was great. And I know we're over time. I got to get to school, and he's got other interviews to do. Decoys of Deception. Find it on Amazon. Decoys of Deception book. Dr. Jimmy Sykes. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Love you.
Love
you
you too.
guys. Be sure and join us tomorrow again for One Street Over. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.